So I hope all of you can see my screen.
Sir, we can.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so today I'm going to share this 5 big lessons that I've learned from Amazon's letters. Jeff Bezos has been writing these annual letters since 1997, and he has been and they are open, and much more than any books that you can gain from. If you read from these shareholder letters, you will gain a lot. And I'm going to share only 5, but there are many that you can do. As you can see in the background, the image that I have downloaded all of them, read them, highlighted them, given comments. They are a treasure trove. I would encourage all of you to download these and read it for yourself. Hopefully this will, today's session will help you and probably give you a nudge to download and read them. Okay, so the 5 lessons that I'm talking about, or these are the 5 lessons. I'll go deeper into each one of them. I'm going to talk about how Jeff Bezos has been building Amazon in public. He has been talking about his principles and all of that we are going to talk about. The other one is Flywheel, how he created Flywheel. One leads to the other. Writing as a superpower. Amazon does not have PowerPoint slides. They only have narrative writing. I'll talk about that. How he is betting on long term, not just on a short term. And finally on regret minimization. Okay. If you have any comments, any questions, put them on chat. While I'm presenting, the chat window is not open to me, but feel free to put all the questions. And towards the end of the session, I will gather all the questions and I will answer them. Okay. So the first lesson that I've learned is build in public, and I have applied in my life also. So I'm going to share that. In 1997, that's his first annual letter. If you do not have time, please download only this and read it. It is only 2 pages. You should be able to read in about 10 minutes. But to digest this and to implement the things that you have learned from this, it is going to take you a lifetime. It has amazing clarity on what he wants and what he's planning to do, and on all of that in 1997. So here he is talking about, he's starting the letter with saying, this is day 1 for internet. We are starting. Here is where we are starting. We have not seen everything. This is where we are starting. And then he goes on, just read that. Through personalization, online commerce will accelerate. In 1997, he's talking about personalization. And even today, personalization has not caught up in every area, but he's talking about it, that his vision that he's talking about. Then sometime later, he is talking about cash flows. Why he is going to focus only on cash flows, on nothing else? Why is that metric important for him? He's talking about that. Then somewhere around 2016 annual letter, and all of these are from annual letters. Okay, so 2016, he's saying we make high velocity, high quality decisions. And he goes on to explain how velocity is built, how quality is built. So how they are going to do that. And he also says, in business, speed matters. Like some of you are running business, some of you are starting as a freelancer, some of you might be senior resource, you're occupying senior positions. For you, speed matters. Now, how can you build high quality and high velocity decision? Again, he talks about it in 2016 in a very, very detailed manner. Then he says he's introducing Kindle, and he introduces Kindle and says, okay, what's the difference between Kindle and physical book? So this is building in public. Nobody knows about Kindle at that time. He is coming up and says, hey, this is Kindle. This is what is building in public. So any of you are running a company or you want to build your own brand, put out what is your philosophy? How are you different? Why should I talk to you? He's put narrating all of those, his philosophies, his focus, his vision, how he is building to do. Those are the things that determines what is built in public. And final thing, it is my favorite one, is building a flywheel. Building a flywheel. He says, how can you build a flywheel? How are we building a flywheel? And we will see that in a little more detail, but he's talking about this. So this is what is building in public. And this is a model template for building your brand. It is a model for building your department or building your company if you are starting as a freelancer, or you are a CEO of a company. It is good to start with this, or you are retransforming or you are changing your company. Again, this is a good one, whether it is to your employees or to others. This is a good practice. Build it in public. Talk about your vision, talk about your philosophy, talk about your product, why that product is different from the earlier existing product. These are all the templates. Pick up these templates and then you can do that. Right now, how I have benefited from this particular thing, how I did it, is that sometimes I published this principles. These are my principles. I said, these are the principles by which I operate. It is not a non-zero sum game. Life is not a non-zero sum game. You can win, I can win. And I published this. Now, anytime somebody comes and says, I want to work with you, I want to collaborate with you, or they want to engage me, then I send them this. These are my principles. Now, does this okay with you? Then it is much easier for them to understand who I am. Not only that, but also I publish on a continuous basis. And here I publish because I'm a CTO, I'm at a technology aspect. I say, how can you improve IT delivery? What is the process? How can you implement a process? I put that out. So then, why would you do that? Right? Why would you do that? Now, when you build in public, whether it is your personal brand or your company, you can be on dope. And I'm telling you, people like Rajat, who was much younger in career, or even like people like Kuranaji, he has been precious to attend my course.
These limit lines are associated with the temperature. So when you are hiding or opening,
can you mute yourself, please? Yeah, thank you. So when you are building in public, you are able to build an esteem. People respect you. Okay, this is the vision that this person has. This is the process that he wants to propose, and so on and so forth. So it gives you esteem. And when you have esteem, obviously it will attract dollars. And when you put out all of these things, it also opens up opportunities for you. And then new positions opens up to you. So when you build in public, these things happen. Dollars, opportunities, positions, and esteems open up for you. And I have seen this in my life. I'm sure you can, anybody who is building in public, anybody who is building their brand in public, you can see that this is happening. They are able to command dollars, or even new positions are opening up for them. Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Some questions. Okay. Lovely. So let me start again. Okay. So this is about the first one, build in public. The next one is creating a flywheel. This is a fascinating concept. People have taken it. It was the management guru Jim Collins taught, or rather, spoke to Jeff Bezos about this. Jim Collins has a book called Flywheel Monograph. You can read that, or you can read this alone, this particular annual letter, and you will understand this. And Jeff Bezos says, he explains, and there is also a diagram. So you know that, right? It has large selection of products. So when you have a large selection of products, people go there. So people are able to select from multiple different products. It is not just one product, multiple products. because there is a lot of people are coming in, so which builds traffic. Because there is traffic, now Jeff Bezos is able to go to other sellers and third-party sellers and say, hey, you know what? We have a marketplace. Do you want to come in here? Because we have 1 million traffic, 1 million hits are happening. Do you want to come in here? So they come in. When the third-party sellers come in, what happens? More selections. Because there is more selections and more traffic, you lower the price because your fixed cost is going down. Your cost structure is going down. So you can see that one leads to the other. Large selection leads to traffic. Large traffic attracts more sellers. More sellers bring in more selection. So you can see that this is spinning one to the other. And a flywheel by nature is difficult to build up. But once you are built up, then when it is breaking through, the snowball effect comes in, the virtuous cycle kicks in, and then it continues to spin on. That's how, Amazon has been extremely successful because of this flywheel concept. And you can see this flywheel concept almost in everything. Amazon's products run on AWS. So AWS is steady, stable, and then because it is stable, third-party vendors are coming in. Because third-party vendors are coming in, it again, it brings in a lot of dollars. And because there are a lot of dollars, they are able to expand it, and so on and so forth. It's a virtuous cycle. One leads to the other. And how I have implemented it. I have implemented something called WINS Flywheel, Wealth, Insights, Network, and Self-Control. Now, when you have insights, say, for example, now, I have some insights, I put it across. Now, all of you are coming. So you're all in my network. You're all listening to me. Why would you listen to me? Only because there is some kind of an insight. So insight leads to network. Now, because of the network, I can build wealth. Whenever I have certain opportunities or you want to engage me, there is a wealth that is coming in through. But this three will work only if there is self-control. Say, for example, I say 7 o'clock is the session, and I don't have the self-control to come up at 7 o'clock. You will all drop off next time when I send you a meeting invite. You're not going to turn up, right? So this is again a flywheel. One leads to the other. You have more insights, you share with people, you bring in more people to network. And one of them refers you for a job, or they buy a book, or they buy a course. So they bring you wealth. And then you add up self-control into it, and it goes on and on and on like that. And as you can see here, building up a flywheel takes a long time. For Amazon, for a very long time, people wrote them off because he never made any profit. So the Wall Street guys, they wrote him off saying, this is not a sustainable business. It's not going to work. But today, of course, today now, Elon Musk has dethroned Jeff Bezos as the richest man. But for a very long time, he was the richest man because of this particular flywheel effect. It takes time to build, but once it builds, it spins and spins and spins and into a virtuous loop. I teach this in a course called Gravitas Wins. You can look up that URL. And if you're interested, you can join that particular course for the next cohort. It is not a self-paced course. It's a cohort-based so that you interact with me and then the other batchmates also. And then you can talk about it. Many of the participants here are students from there. Mr. Kurana, Nitin, Sajal, Darshan. There are a lot of people who are participants. You can talk to them if you want, or you can ask me any questions. But this flywheel has been extremely useful to me. This is what I built in. The WINS flywheel is what I built in, and I work on it on an everyday basis. And it works through for me pretty well. Now, the third point is writing is a superpower. And as you can see, Jeff Bezos has been writing from 1997, and there is a clarity in his writing. And he says this, he sent this email to all of his employees, and there is no PowerPoint, there are no slides, there are no bullet points. And he says, just because we banned PowerPoint doesn't mean in Word you can build bullet points. No, you need to have narratives. So he says here, there has to be a 6-page narrative. when you are able to narrate something, you put yourself in a customer's shoes and says, this is why they will like this particular product. This is why they wouldn't like this particular product. These are the characteristics of this particular product. Abhinav is in Abhinav and Ishan are all in business analyst group. You'll all know about stories, user stories, and all of that, which is what, like, he's promoting here is a narrative story, saying this particular person will like it, this person will not like it because of this particular reason. Not bullet points. You would narrate it. Why narration? And he goes in here. The narration gives you better thought and better understanding. If you're only bullet pointing, you are thinking through and then you're just putting bullet points because you are not thinking. But when you are narrating something, you need to think. You need to apply some kind of a structured thinking. And that is important. That's why he says you need to have writing. And again, this, you can see that, again, like from 1997, he has been writing. But if you see all the other aspects also, there is a lot of writing. One of the other things that happens in Amazon is before a product gets even listed to be developed, they need to write a press release. The product managers and the owners will have to write a press release saying this is how we will release this particular product, and these are the people who will benefit, and so on and so forth. So almost everybody, every senior member and everybody in Amazon, you can again search for Google for this, everybody in Amazon have to write. And when you are forced to write, you have a clear thinking. So I would encourage you, maybe go to LinkedIn, wherever you are, maybe you go to LinkedIn, or maybe you have a blog, start writing. You might ask, Joseph, what should I write? Write about your philosophy. Say, for example, you are in a business analyst group. Write why business analyst is important. You are a product owner. What's the difference between a product owner and a business analyst? Write that. You might ask, Joseph, there are tons of blogs about it. Doesn't matter. You are not writing for somebody else. You are writing for yourself. You are writing for making your thinking better. So write for yourself, and over the period, you will be able to build a flywheel. And I'm going to give you an example how that happened. I've been blogging for 15 years, and probably 5 people read my blogs. Nobody read in the beginning. Sometimes not even my sister. I think she is also in this particular session, but many times even she wouldn't read it. But over the period, I read it, I wrote continuously. Every week I wrote. In the last 6-7 years, that flywheel started spinning. People started noticing. This Software Lead Weekly is one of the popular newsletter in the software domain, and he picked it up and said, hey, I like what Joseph writes. And one thing led to the other. I ended up writing for Tribune Chandigarh. It's a local newspaper in this particular Tri-City area. It's about, it is popular in about 3-4 states, and I happen to write for them. As a matter of fact, when I graduated out of college, I couldn't speak one sentence in English. From there to writing for a newspaper, it is because of this particular flywheel that I've been spinning in private over the long years of one to the other, and then finally I'm able to write to newsletters, right? Newspapers. So I would highly encourage you. It clears your thinking. You're able to think structurally and then say, okay, this is what I have to communicate to this particular person. So I would encourage you to write. It's a superpower that you will get. And then focus on the long term. Jeff Bezos says, it is not going to be a short term. Again, in 1997, that's why I'm saying you need to go and read this 1997 annual letter. He says, the title itself is, it's about the long term. And he says, I believe in the long term, not on the short term. And somewhere down, he says, we will, the last paragraph you can read, we will continue to make investments on a long term because I want to have leadership position, not on the short term. Short term profit is okay. Yes, I want to make a profit, but it is going to be a long term. Leadership is what I'm going to focus on. And he focused on leadership, and what happened, rest of the thing that happened. And this he's talking about in 1997. Now, when you put this out, what happens is you attract a lot of partners, customers, employees, obviously critics, but then it also brings in quite a lot of supporters for you. Because when you have a clarity in thinking, when you are able to communicate this well, and you have certain principles and you are going to live by those principles, then that is shown, and that attracts a lot of people. And I see KK here in all of these annual letters. You can see he has a very good narrative, and everything, if you see, there's a very good narrative, and that's a kind of a storytelling. That's very interesting. There are certain pieces which goes very deep into economics and finance and everything, but in general, it is very good read that you can read. Okay. Now, how can you put this to practice? Any growth that you see has to compound. It has to take a long time, right? If you improve just 1% every day in any of the things, it could be fitness, it could be your relations, it could be focusing, it could be your wealth, it could be your eating well, any aspect of it, you can compound. You improve 1% every day. End of the year, you are 37% better than what you were earlier. Plus, the other point is, you might say, okay, Joseph, I really don't want to improve. But you know what? If you don't improve, you actually decay. So when you decay, by the end of the year, you have actually gone down by a certain percentage, not really on the same status, right? So if at all you want to grow, and all of you are, that's why you are here, all of you are interested. So you need to put one compounding to the other. Like, say, for example, as I was saying, I've been writing blogs, but this is the first time I'm having a live event like this. It is scary, but I'm doing it, and it is going to compound. The blog, as it has compounded, and this event is also going to compound. So you need to compound your growth. Whatever that you are doing, it could be blog. Start a blog today. If at all I would nudge you anything, start a blog today, or start writing in LinkedIn. Very small. Start doing it today. Every day, if you write, by the end of the year, you will have changed tremendously. And then you do that for 15 years, you will be unstoppable. You will be in a much different plane than otherwise that you would be, right? So whether it is wealth, whether it is any of these aspects that you want to improve in your life, do a compounding. See what are the elements that adds you up to the flywheel, and then keep improving each aspect of it. I told you about wins, right? So wealth, insights, network, and self-control. Insights. Every day read, maybe, like, say for example, every day read for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe read, download all of these letters, annual letters, and read. Maybe read a book. So insights, gather your insights, share it with others. LinkedIn or a blog, you write, and then you share, you improve your networking. So your insights leads to networking. You are compounding it. Now you lead that. When you do that, your wealth is going to increase. Now wealth, you might say, Joseph, I'm not going to get any money directly. Yes. But then you might increase your social capital. You might increase your intellectual capital, which eventually is going to lead you to the financial wealth also, the capital also. And if you do that, every time you are only improving one bit, then by the end of the year, and all the three, it is going to spin, and you are going to be in a much, much better way. So finally, regret minimization. The one piece that I've taken this is actually not from the annual letters. This is in a interview that Jeff Bezos gave in Business Insider to a CEO, and he says this. They asked, like, you are a very successful hedge fund manager. Why would you go and start a company? He said, when I'm 80, would I regret not doing it? And I thought, yes, it will happen. So I said, I will go and start Amazon. And if it fails, it fails. I can always come back and be a fund manager. So in your life also, ask this particular question: will I regret not doing it? Because many a times, again, when you are old, what happens is you regret about not doing certain things. You are not asked for the raise. You are not applied for a job. you wanted to do something and you're not done that. That is what we will regret. Oh my God, I should have done that. If I would have done that, maybe my life would have been different. So we almost always, we regret more of what we did not do rather than what we did. So ask yourself, like, will I regret if I not do this? And then go and do it. And he says this in his newsletter. What happens is, when you have this attitude of, I am not going to regret, I'm going to do this, you end up doing bold bets. You push yourself and say, okay, I'm going to do this. And if you see all the bets that Jeff Bezos has had, Amazon Fire, or Amazon Kindle, AWS, all of these things were bold bets. They were not, many of the things were not heard of until he brought it out. Like, say, for example, Kindle, right? They were all very, very bold bets. He did them, picked it up for a long-term growth, and they were all successful, except one or two, but they were all very successful. And he says it, like, pets.com, living.com, I did a bet as equal to that as in Kindle or anything else. I failed in one, I succeeded in another. So when you continue to make bold bets, that is when you're going to grow. So whoever you are, you might be just as an employee, you might be a freelancer, you might be running a company, make bold bets. This year we are starting, make bold bets. End of the year, do not regret not doing it. So make bold bets, that's how you will win. So these are the big lessons, the 5 ones. Build in public, create a flywheel, writing is a superpower, focus on the long term, and minimize your regrets. So that's all I have. Connect with me on this Luma, lu.ma, and I will send you after this session, I will send it to you also, and connect with me. And if you have any email, any questions or anything that you can ask. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Joseph, this is PK Khurana. I want to ask you, for a small businessman, how can he build a flywheel?
Probably that's another next session that I will take. But then what are the elements that, so in a flywheel, what are the elements? If you do this, the other thing will come, right? Now, it doesn't have to be only about cost. It doesn't have to be about lower cost. Say, for example, it could be that you want to attract talent. Now, what could attract talent? I'm going to talk from a small business in the IT aspect, is that almost always in IT, if I am working on latest technologies, that will attract talent. And when the talent comes in, they come with passion. And then they will go out and get the projects. So when they get more projects, obviously, I can attract more talent. So it doesn't have to be about cheap price as such. So in each of the businesses, what are those elements? If I do this, the other next thing will come in. If you're able to identify that and make a bold bet and then continue to spin on it. Hopefully I have answered your question, sir.
Yes, sir. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Joseph, in one of the slide, you have shown us that we need to write. Like writing is, you put more emphasis on writing. So, do you think that one should be like in reading more to write? Like
absolutely.
Read more to write more.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to read. See, all leaders are readers. And I think this was said by Warren Buffett. All leaders are readers. You need to read, otherwise you are not going to be a leader at all. So obviously, you need to read a lot. But then reading consumption. So I talked about insight. In insights, one of the thing is consume. You are reading, but then how are you explaining that to others? How are you put it out to somebody else? That is important, right? Okay. So what is your perspective? Let's say, for example, many of the people are from tech industry. What's your thoughts on, say, for example, blockchain? What's your thoughts on Bitcoin? Put that out. it could be wrong. That's okay. That's the bet. It could be wrong, but that is what is going to attract people. That is what is going to say, hey, you are saying it is wrong. The Bitcoin is not going to take, but this is why it is going to take. Or you say, okay, this is why Bitcoin will take up in India, and then you put that out 5 points. You do a narration. That is what is going to attract people to you. So in any of the aspects that you are talking about, any of the fields that you are in, if you can put out your philosophy, your thought, that is when you are going to attract. And you can start small. I mean, you go and read my blogs. They were all, I mean, when I started out, they were, I mean, when I read it now, I am ashamed. So, you can start small, doesn't matter. People will always, you will attract people, and who they will help you. They will give you wings to fly. Okay.
Yeah.
There was one other question that is asked. How do you ensure that it is, it is not blindly optimistic? Sajal is asking. It is not blindly, you are not blindly optimistic, and how can you be a winner? See, this is where it is a bet. It's an experimentation. So you are making a bet. It's an experimentation. It is not maybe I can still say theory, but it's an experimentation. Why I'm saying it as an experimentation is you collect data and then say, does this data validate this hypothesis that I have or invalidate this hypothesis? And if it validates this hypothesis, okay, make a little more bet and then collect more data. And that is how we will do it. And I'll give you an example. Such today morning you posted, does posting at 6 o'clock in the morning, does it attract more traffic, more engagement? That's a hypothesis. There's no data. Nobody has given a data, right? So that's a hypothesis. You put that out and you collect data to either validate or invalidate. You conduct that experiment for, say, for example, 10 days. And you collect the data and say, okay, I mean, a lot of people are liking it. So maybe my engagement has increased. So 6 o'clock will, posting at 6 o'clock will increase engagement. And you continue to do that, to take that data and then either validate or invalidate. So that's how you will do it. So there are two things actually. Being optimistic is things might go wrong, but I have the wherewithal and the support system to continue to do whatever that is needed to do. That's being optimistic. The other one, bet, is about being experiment oriented, hypothesis oriented, and saying, collecting data and saying, okay, I'm going to validate or invalidate. That's how it will be different.
Okay, Joseph, one more thing. Like earlier I said, like we need to read more to write more. Like, but one of the thing which I faced this challenge. Like earlier, before the advent of internet, earlier what used to happen, like for a 15-year-old kid sitting in a library, like only library was a source of knowledge. Like there was no internet. But right now the problem, like we face, I think, in my opinion, is like there is abundance of knowledge, abundance of information on the internet, and it is very difficult to decide which information is useful and which is not.
You are right. So that's the paradox of abundance. Now we have too much. So when I started with photography, we had probably two Canon and Nikon. And that's all was there in India. And there were, the camera will come with one body. That's all. No other lenses, no other bodies, nothing else will be available. So the choice was simple at that time. Today you go to the Photoshop, camera shop, you have tons of brands, tons of lenses. So you have a paralysis of decision. So that's why you need to understand what is your focus. What are you going to focus on? So that's another thing that I teach is that for a particular quarter, focus on one thing. See, the problem with us is that, and I'm going to tell a story which I heard from an entrepreneur turned a philosopher, I would say. He says, and it's a very old legendary story, is that there is a donkey and it is hungry as well as thirsty. And it sees hay on one side and water on the other side. It looks at water and it says, okay, I'm going to drink it because I'm thirsty. And then it looks at hay and says, okay, if I go to drink water, I might miss the hay. So it turns to hay. But then as it turns, it says, oh my God, somebody else might drink water. So let me go. And it flips between these two and it dies of hunger and thirst, right? So many a times we do this particular mistake. And I do this mistake as well. Sometimes I will code thinking, as a CTO, I need to do it. So I'll start coding. Half an hour into the coding session, I will think, oh my God, as a CTO, I also need to prepare strategy. So let me go and read some other book like that. And then I will leave coding in between and I'll go read that. So that fear of missing out has come in because of this abundance. So if you can focus for a particular quarter on one thing and move a thing a mile, and then every quarter, if you can do it, you will accomplish a lot in your lifetime. That's a good question, Darshan. Thank you. Any other questions from anybody else? Atul, anyone else? Any other questions? Then,
if there are no questions, then I would like to add something to answer his question.
yes, sir, please. Go ahead.
The two things. He has asked two things. One is how to write better. And second thing is, when there is abundance, how to choose the right thing. So, or how to be productive, as you said, focus on one thing in a quarter, so that you don't divert again and again. So, first thing is, his question was about how to start writing. Yes, input is essential. Without input, you can't have output. But there are strategies to write better, and these are specific strategies. You can even start from day one writing better. There are tools and strategies. As you have developed a tool called Wins, which makes you structured in a way. So your actions are structured and you accomplish far better and sooner. So there are tools that make you write better. And as you know, I'm a columnist and author, so I teach those things also. So if anybody likes, I can help them in writing better. And for the people over here, I'm not selling anything. I will help them. Clearly,
maybe Kurunaji, if I continue to have these sessions on a regular basis, maybe we can chat on one of these sessions and we can invite people who are interested in writing.
Perfect.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You're giving me an idea.
So second thing is being productive. There are strategies for being productive even in a single day. How do you plan your day and how do you execute your plan? So there are strategies and tools for that also that I teach in my courses. So for your audience, we can chat anything, we can plan a session anytime, and then we can take it forward. That's not a problem.
Wonderful. Good. Any other questions? KK, you have any questions?
Okay, one thing I have, Joseph.
Yeah, Atul.
Regarding the bets that you mentioned about how Jeff made the bets and some went positive, some went negative. So most of us, I can say that have the fear of failure.
Yeah.
And because many of us don't have the luxury of failing at the first place. So how to overcome that? Because that is the, I think, biggest hurdle in making the bets.
Very true, and I also face it. Just because I had this doesn't mean I have kind of overcome this. One, what is the smallest level of bet that you can make? That's the first step. I'll give you an example. Probably when I first started speaking publicly, especially in English, I would shiver. All the bet that I could do was go there and talk for 5 minutes. That's all. And that 5 minutes, write and go read it. Basically, not speaking, basically reading that. That's all I could make. So it was a small step, but at that time it was a bold bet for me. Sometimes I would even sweat, and I made enormous mistake in it. I still remember, I mentioned it in one of my videos. I still remember there was a girl in the audience, and she asked me a question. I wanted to tell her, don't embarrass me with question. Rather, in my because of whatever it was, I told her, don't embrace me with questions, and I made that mistake. But from there, today I am here. I'm talking to all of you folks in this. So whatever field that you are talking about, it could be investment. Say, for example, stocks investing that you want to do, or you want to write
majorly
a
it was
blog.
for investment, like, because when there is investment involved, then that fear is bigger than any other fear. So
don't invest 1 lakh. Start with 1,000 rupees. That you can think that I went to Starbucks and I had a lunch. That's it. It is forgotten. Start with 1,000 rupees. Buy a stock. I mean, do your analysis, buy a stock. The other thing that I normally tell my friends who ask this is that for a quarter, do not buy. You analyze and say that I'm going to buy this. So virtually you are buying mentally, and then you process how that stock is growing. Have you made a right bet or not? So start with small, 1,000 rupees. That's all you do. And I mean, you might lose it, it might increase. Then why is it increasing? And then you go on with that. One another thing that I like, and I mean, maybe we can talk about it some other day. If you read in my blog or I teach this in the course, is called SODAS, structured thinking. It is situation. What is your situation? What are the options that you have? Say, for example, you want to invest. What's the situation? Do you want to go invest for long term, for your daughter's marriage, or for your retirement? What's the situation? What are the options that you have? And then what are the plus and minuses of it, disadvantages and the plus of it? Say, for example, fixed deposit, mutual funds, stocks. These are all the different options. What are the advantages and the disadvantages? And it will always be contextual. For your context, what's the best option? That's it. Like, I mean, you make a small bet in that, and you document your decision. The reason why we do not continue on our bet is we do not document. So say, for example, I'll give you this. After this session, I'll go back and document what I did well, what questions came in, what I did not do well. I will document all of that. So next time I can improve. So that's how you do this compounding, because you are increasing 1% every time, right? So I do that in everything. So you can do that in investment, and maybe you will lose 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. But if you document all your decisions and you correct your decisions, you will continue to make a bet continuously on a upscale basis. Yes,
okay, so, yeah, this is kind of applying agile principles on this.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, Atul, in my blog, I have this, applying agile principles on a regular basis in all walks of life. That's absolutely right. But the only thing, Atul, we do not document. We do a retro, but we do not document. You need to document so that you can refer that and improve in the next one. Yeah, Sajal, you had a question?
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, I had a question. The thing I was asking was, like, of course, we all should make bold bets, but while you're making a bold bet, how do you create a buffer stock or probably a safety stash, not specifically financially, but in other terms as well? How do you create that safety stash or that safety barrier? So of course, you're betting, you might lose some money or probably some time or not exactly reputation, but some resource, yet you do not go broke, broke in some form. That's what I'm asking. How do you build?
I don't know all the answers, so I'm not going to appear that give a thing that I know all the answers. But the way I look at it is, again, as I said, you're starting with a small bet, and if it works, you continue to make a bet on that on a continuous basis, right? So that's the way. And by the time you come for a larger bet, hopefully you have either the intellectual buffer or the financial buffer. So I'll give you an example. Regret minimization, I didn't actually share that thing. When an opportunity was given to me to start a startup, I had all my savings. I put it up into my startup, and the startup didn't come through. I thought I could be the next Jeff Bezos in India. It didn't happen, and I lost all my money. But I had the intellectual buffer. So I could go and apply for another job, and I could eventually become a CTO. So yes, so either you have an intellectual buffer or you have a financial buffer, or you have your family support. I have a great family support. So all of those things is what helps me. Yeah, Srilata, you want to ask a question? Please
Yeah,
ask.
hi Jude. I was your connection from some time, and I used to read your posts. I really like them, especially some pictorial representations which you post. I really love them actually. And whenever I feel like start blogging or something, I read a lot books, and I used to talk to people direct. But when it comes for blogging, there is already so much data in internet, so that makes me feel like this something which I'm about to write is already existing, or people might know. This kind of feeling is stopping me to start writing the blog or something. So is it how to
Absolutely.
pick something new, or is it okay to write something existing, or how is it?
Okay, so the first thing is that you are writing for yourself,
Okay.
not for others. That's one. That's a starting point. You are starting for yourself to get your clarity.
Okay.
Right? That's one.
Okay.
So say, for example, you write 10 posts like that. Which domain are you in?
I'm into computers, electrical, and even in computers, many stacks. I'm into data analytics and mobile
Okay,
apps.
data analytics. Give me.
Yeah.
I'm just picking it up. Okay,
Yeah,
data
yeah.
analytics.
Okay.
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 Take data analytics, and
Okay.
let's say, for example, you are on data cleaning. Okay.
Yeah.
Just say why data cleaning is absolutely important for data visualization and to even gather any insights from data. Your own points. It is for you to make it clear, not for anybody else. And then you share it with somebody else and say, hey, you know what? This is what I think. Is it right?
Okay.
They will give you certain inputs. Again, write another one saying, so you grow from there. Maybe it'll take a year. So this is why, if you go back to that flywheel diagram that I put, the buildup is going to take time. The problem is, we are in a McDonald's and KFC's era. We want to order and we want to get it. We want to start a blog and we want to be 100,000 hits immediately the next day. That is not going to happen, right? And that, you may not expect it. I'm saying we want the results immediately. But if you can write for yourself first, then you will write for somebody else, your friend. You're talking to another friend. Okay. And suddenly you will have a crowd, right? See, I don't think I know, at least 50% of the people in this particular crowd, I don't know. How did that happen? It didn't happen a day. I've been writing like this for 15 years. And over the long period, I have accumulated certain people. Now, Adyot brought in Jessica. Few people, other people brought in few other people. And we are here. So one leads to the other. That's what I would say. So start small, write for yourself. Next, write for your friend. Next, write for your team. And that's it. After that, you will write for everybody else. So start with for yourself.
Thank you. I like that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, shall I give 3 more points? I can add 3 more points.
Two more questions are there. After that, I'll give you, sir. Nitin. 1 second, sir. Nitin, you have a question, please?
Yeah. Thanks, Joseph. I think I want to make a comment. First of all, I feel very amazed that Jeff, even in 1997, as you said, he was talking about personalization and the things which he has been talking. Okay, that too when the internet era was still picking up. Yes. I'm absolutely amazed. He's absolutely ahead of time, and that clearly shows what you have been talking about in the wins, that disciplined thought and the clarity through which he has written those letters. It shows his disciplined thought. Yes. While you were answering to Srilata also and to Darshan also, I think it takes a huge amount of initial effort to start writing small thing and bring the clarity. Okay. But I'm actually looking forward what Khurana ji also mentioned, that for writing, there is a toolkit which possibly if you go through, you can start to become a good writer from day one itself. Okay. I'm actually looking forward to do that, because right now, even if I have to start writing small, the mind feels so cluttered that, okay, there's so many things right now going into your mind. Your mind is not sitting at one place. You're jumping from one thing to another. So even if you have to write a small post, your mind is not fixed onto one particular aspect, saying, okay, I'll just go ahead and write about this. Your mind is think about one point and then suddenly jump into another point. And then even you are confused that, okay, what to post now.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
And to add to that, what Sridhar was saying that, okay, then you realize, okay, this information is already available at so many places. What is the new I am hiding? That also then pulls you further down.
Yeah, I think all of this will form an input, and then maybe I can ask Mr. Kurana to take the next session next week, the same time. Probably I can ask Mr. Kurana to start, and we can chat on that.
Within 5 minutes, I can give you 2 points, 2 pointers, and 2 tools within
Sure.
5 minutes.
Sir, 2 more questions. People
Yes,
have
sir.
raised hands.
After that.
I'll ask
After
them.
that.
And yeah.
Yes, sir.
KK,
After that.
yes. What's your question, please?
Yeah, Joseph, this is a really great session. I enjoyed actually. I have been reading Bezos' letter for a few reasons because I'm a student of business leadership as well as from a storytelling aspect as well as from a writing standpoint. So absolutely love his thoughts and insights. Because as a sales guy or marketing guy who has presentations, right? So we do a lot of these presentations on the fly without putting a lot of thought. But when it comes to writing a page memo, right? Like they have the 6-page memo examples, right? I mean, that's their strength. So that needs a lot of thinking and clear thought process. I think that is something which needs to. I think that will help a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think thank you, Joseph. I think this is a very enlightening session. Yeah, like Jeff Bezos is like multiple personalities. Amazon is multiple. I think Joseph given multiple variations or multiple flavors. So keep inspiring us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, KK. Thanks for the comment. Manpreet, you have any questions?
Hey, Joseph. First of all, thank you so much for that session. I don't know whether it's a question or a comment, but I'll still put it forth. So, in fact, you mentioned about 5 points. What I felt is that those are a mixture of principles versus strategies. So, what I could feel is that the focus on long term, build a flywheel, and regret minimization, those are more like principles that looked like to me. And the building in public and clear writing is a superpower that looked like a strategy to me. So, principle is something which could be applied across masses. That's what I feel. And strategy could differ. So, instead
Yeah.
of writing, it could be like I do a podcast. So that's a strategy which I feel. It could be just I give a speech. It could be a strategy. It could be I prepare for a speech. So that's what I don't know. It's a comment or a question, but that's what I felt that those two strategies, building in public and clear writing, that could be replaced by something else as well, depending
Absolutely.
on if we follow other
True.
3 principles.
True. I mean, it's a very good comment. So I'm going to elaborate on that. What I have understood is that, say, for example, you're going for a meeting and you know the status, all of this is very clear. But somebody is asking you a question, because you're not thought through that earlier, the answer for that question earlier, you tend to blabber. You tend to go all over the place. But if you have written that point, even bullet points, like some small points, these are the 4 things that I'm going to talk about. Then when you are talking, you are to the point. You are able to be, you are able to articulate that particular standpoint, your viewpoint, your perspective, whatever your strategy, your passion, whatever that you are talking about. If you have written them down, it gives you clear thinking. So for me, writing is thinking. When I start writing, that is when I start thinking actually. I don't think and write. It is the other way around. We normally, I mean, maybe for Sridhar also it's an answer. What we think is that we need to think and write. For me, only when I put my hand on the keyboard, I start to think. And as I write, and it goes on. KK is a storyteller, but if you read Stephen King, again, like I'm a great novelist, he says this. When I start writing a novel, I might think this particular character is this. But as I start writing, that character evolves and it takes its own direction. So why I say that is, For me, writing is thinking. It is not thinking leads to writing, it is writing leads to thinking. That's what I would say. But all the other points that you mentioned are valid.
Great. Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining. And if you could do me one favor, if you could go to this menti.com. So I want to know what I should take for next session. I didn't know what session that I should take. One of the sessions will be from Mr. Kurana. But one of these three things, flywheel of success, branding on LinkedIn, or profitable insights. What would you ask me to present next? Can you go to menti.com and put in that particular code and rank on any one of this, please? Would you be kind enough to do it? Are you doing it? Anyone doing that?
How can we do that? I don't know.
No, go to menti.com, MENTI. It's there on the.
Okay.
Go to the menti.com and then it'll ask for the code. Give the code and one of the.
Can you please put it on chat so that we can copy or click from there?
Okay. So.
Done.
Sorry. Menti.com. While we are here, there's another question. Sajal has asked, are there any other people who write like this? Not on an annual basis, at least not that I know. Almost every director, every CEO is supposed to write, but I have not seen any other CEO writing this clearly. But Warren Buffett is another one. If you are interested, you can read. It is a little dense and it goes little, for me at least, it is a little dense, but he's another one that he writes. And Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 book, it's a very small book. That's also a very, very clear thinking. That's another thing that I would say.
Yeah, I read this 0 to 1. It was super awesome. Like every startup person, whoever want to build themselves or to innovate, it was really awesome. I loved that book.
Absolutely. Srilata, what you should do? Go to LinkedIn.
Okay.
You said, you read this book, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Now tell me, what are the 3 things that you learned from that book?
So first, mainly is like the vertical growth. It's not like the horizontal growth. So the idea should be something new from whatever exists. So that's what it means, like 0 to 1.
Okay.
To add to that, it's been really very long time I read it. I'm not sure whether the point should be from that book or not.
No, fair enough. But what, what do you understand from that 0 to 1?
Yeah. And
Or okay, take this particular one that you talked about, right? Whatever that you talked about. Go to LinkedIn.
Okay.
I read this book long time back.
Okay.
I had a conversation with Joseph.
Yeah.
And this book came up.
Okay.
And this is what I remember from that book.
Yeah. Perfect. I'll do this.
Very simple. That's how you start writing.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for this.
That's it. You tag me, I will, I will also share. But that's exactly how you start writing. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
Yeah.
And while we are on the topic, what I would also appreciate is, and let's start that, right? You all go to LinkedIn. And I said this to Nitin last week also. So go to LinkedIn. I attended this session, and this is one input I have gained from this particular session. Only one, not more, just one. And tag me. It is okay to tag me, not okay to tag me. I'm okay with both. But the point that I'm trying to tell you is, you have to start writing, because writing is a superpower. Go to LinkedIn. All of you have LinkedIn, and I think most of you I can recognize. Go to LinkedIn and write this particular one thing, what you learned today. That's it. That's more than enough. That's how you start. Okay. So thanks a lot for all of you to come and join. This is my first session. I was a lot more concerned and a little more anxious and nervous, but
we enjoyed it.
went on okay.
Definitely,
Sorry?
we enjoyed it, and we received some good inputs from you. Definitely, you motivated us. Definitely, this session has been useful. And I like to add one point from the 0 to 1. Like, I like the one line from that very much. Luck was something to be mastered, dominated, and controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
There's a quite a lot that we can probably we can have one session just discussing that book. It was fantastic. Again, thanks a lot for everybody. I will summarize this and send you a mail, and probably I'll have this on a regular basis. I would appreciate if all of you can join on a regular basis. Thanks a lot. Have a fantastic week ahead. Thank you.